Ohio governor taking his message of fiscal responsibility on the road this past week. Potential 2016 candidate John Kasich telling voters in New Hampshire he's just a regular guy with a big job. Governor Kasich already closing an $8 billion budget shortfall in Ohio, now pushing for fiscal responsibility in Washington. The governor joins me now to tell us how he did it. Governor, good to have you on the show.
You're a big star, Maria. I love being with you here.
Thank you. Thank you so much. So let's talk about how you closed that budget shortfall in Ohio and why it seems so tough to do on a national level.
Well, the first thing is, why don't we stop playing politics and taking polls and just go and reinvent government? And that's what really ought to do at the federal level. You know, I've been thinking that, you remember we used to have these things called the little Hoover commissions, where they got business people, they got paid $1 a year to go and work with government people to grind out waste and reinvent the government. I think we need to do it again more than ever. And what we did is we forgot politics and we fixed things, and now running a $2 billion surplus. But we didn't let politics get in the way. And as a result of that, not only are we balanced and eliminating that $8 billion hole, but we also are $2 billion in the black, and we've cut taxes by $3 billion, the largest tax cuts in America, because tax cuts are important, because if you have a restaurant that's losing money, if you can lower your prices, you can get more customers, and that's the way we think about it.
Tell me about that, because that's always the fight. The Republicans do not want to raise taxes, and it seems that the president wants to continue looking at that as a way to raise revenue.
Well, in '97, I was the chairman of the Budget Committee when we balanced the budget the first time since man walked on the moon, and we had a capital gains tax cut. And what we found is when we cut capital gains, it produced more revenue, and that's how we got to the balanced budget sooner. And when I left Washington after 2000, we had a $5 trillion surplus. And then you can't believe who blew it. The Republicans, House and Senate and the president, and they blew the $5 trillion surplus. That's why I'm out pushing a balanced budget amendment to the Constitution, and we're now up to 27 states. There's been 3 that have signed on since I've been on my little tour. And, Maria, presidents come, presidents go, and the debt gets higher, higher, and higher. And I know we can change the culture of Washington if we can lock them into a balanced budget. Exceptions in time of war and economic calamity, we can make exceptions. We can do this over time, but it will impose a discipline on Congress. If I didn't have a balanced budget requirement in Ohio, my budget wouldn't be balanced.
But
I'm telling you, the politicians would evade and avoid making decisions because the interest groups would pressure them into this program and that program, and that's what happens in Washington. They're not, frankly, putting the country first. There's lots of excuses as to why we can't do this or change that, but at the end of the day, our kids are going to pay the price for this debt. This debt is eating away at the fabric of America.
So let me ask you what you would do in the face of what we're talking about with Iran. What would a deal look like that is appropriate in your mind?
Well, first of all, what I hope, a given is any agreement with Iran should be taken to Congress, should be closely reviewed, and I'm not so much into trusting them. So I would have to look at exactly what the agreement is. The idea, though, that the president may go to the United Nations and skirt Congress, that's really a bad idea. In terms of the centrifuges and all that, I don't want to get into all the details of that. We don't want to be in a position where they're in a position to start something within 1 year. I think it's a bad idea, and I'll tell you why. I worry about proliferation of weapons of mass destruction. I worry about the proliferation of this nuclear material that can be sent to non-state actors like Al-Qaeda, like ISIS, like any of these radicals out there. And so we've got to be very careful that we don't march down a road where they acquire a nuclear weapon or where this material is available. And these are tough negotiations. We got to keep the sanctions on. And you know what? I think Netanyahu said it best. Iran needs to change their attitude. They have to stop talking about destroying Israel and that we're the great American, we're the great Satan in the world. I mean, how do you do a deal with somebody that says, I want to wipe out one of your friends? So this has to be slowed down. It has to be given to the Congress, and we'll see where we are. Maybe they won't reach an agreement. We'll have to see.
And yet the president has gone around Congress in terms of Iran, has gone around Congress in terms of Obamacare,
well, I think
Cuba. Tell me about the governors taking control of their state. You've done it in Ohio, even with this brushstroke attitude when it comes to health care, immigration, and so many other issues that the president has gone it alone.
Well, I have to work with the legislature. I mean, in most cases, I have to be, and I could do executive orders once in a while. But you got to be careful that you are running around the legislature, because that's your board of directors and you have to work with them. Doesn't mean you cave into them, but it means there's compromise. It means you have to have a vision.
A lot of speculation around you. What are you going to do? Are you going to throw your hat in the ring for 2016?
Well, you know, I haven't been wearing a hat lately, but no, I don't really know. All options are on the table. Running for president, I've been around for a long time, is a sobering thought. The question is, in many ways, my family, my friends, and, you know, in a funny sort of way, not funny, but real, what's the Lord want me to do with my life? And I got to figure that out. And I don't know it yet. I haven't figured it out, but I'm traveling all over the place, actually having some fun doing it. It's a lot different, Maria. And let me tell you, back in 16 years ago, I went to New Hampshire and I thought I could be president. And I was standing in this kitchen with this lady, and we're carrying on this great conversation. And then she looks at her watch and she says, "When's the candidate going to get here?" I went to New Hampshire this week, and it was completely different. So it's interesting.
So you feel like you're ready now?
Well,
you weren't ready then.
I probably wasn't ready back then. But I think being a governor and meeting all the challenges and growing the economy and helping Ohio get on its feet and helping people who live in the shadows and giving people a sense they can all be included, it's something that the people need to look at, because I think it's good for America, whether I run or not.
Governor, we're going to be watching your developments. Thanks so much for joining us today.
Thank you.
Appreciate it. Governor John Kasich there.